it's the only CRM that uses like native tool.
Yeah.
And the one partnership that, regardless of whether you're starting in your journey or you're a professional real estate investor, it's our talent acquisition agency called 80/20 Recruit.
Okay.
That specializes in sourcing and pre-vetting talent from Latin America. What happened is that when we shut down the Done For You line of service of the VA, so-called, in the last 2-3 years, my partner and I, we probably get 10 to 20 emails a week.
Wanting it back.
We have all the systems in place where we would find that talent in Latin America so a client can manage that relationship without a markup, without all the gray area of like, oh, I'm paying $10 an hour for somebody that I should be paying $6 an hour. That's gone.
What is up, the Science of Flipping family? We are back with an incredible guest. If you are doing any level of marketing at all, you will not want to miss this episode. I don't care if you're doing direct mail, PPC, cold calling, texting, whatever you're doing, you can double your lead flow without having more marketing cost. Today's special guest is 80/20 founder, 80/20 REI founder, Felipe is in the house. What's up, dude?
Thanks for having me, man.
Man, I'm excited about this because as someone who spends, close to 6 figures a month on marketing myself, it is imperative that we understand how to cut our bottom line, keep lead flow coming in, increase productivity, right? So let's talk about how the hell has 80/20 REI found the secret to be able to double lead flow without having to spend more money?
So when we started 80/20 back in 2019, we started as operators. So one of our business coaches just said, you guys are good operators, but you guys are great at data and marketing. How the hell do you do it? You should do a product with this. And really, if you double click on it, like there's only 3 levers that can be pulled in real estate that, make a big difference. It's either 1, how do I get more leads without spending more? 2, how do I convert more of those leads into appointments and then into contracts that I can sell? And 3, how do I lower my cost per acquisition? So what we doubled down on was okay, how do we get investors to get more leads from cold calling, direct mail, and texting without having to spend more? And at the end of the day, it's all about having good data. That's probably 30% of the equation. Then what you're going to do with that data?
Yeah.
Okay, how often should you call? How often should you mail? How often should the list be segmented? And then how are you going to go about talking to the leads that you're generating?
Yeah.
That's where, for example, cold calling scripts, SMS talk tracks, or all of that, or the mail piece you use comes in handy. So what we've been able to do, I would say for over 149 clients going forward, it's to help them get a better ROI from their outbound channels without spending more so they can make better marketing decisions.
I like that a lot. So as someone that obviously I just started actually TV commercials for the first time ever, just because I want to be able to have multiple marketing channels, right? I firmly believe in that. But what you guys have done that I find so impressive and what I love, you were practitioners first. And you needed to solve a problem in your own business, which led to what now we know as 80/20 REI. What was the problem you were ultimately trying to solve? Like because I myself have done something very similar where I had a problem in my own business. I created a solution that turned into Rocketly, right? So what was the problem? And then how did 80/20 REI as we know it fix that for you?
So when we first started wholesaling, that I'm talking way back in 2017, we started here in our backyard, South Florida.
Yep.
And you live here too.
Yep.
And you know that it's probably one of the most competitive markets in America. Big metro area, big institutional players here. So, and we were bootstrapping, smaller players. Like we just figured out like, okay, we're fanatical about the Pareto law, the 80/20 principle.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, how do we get more with less?
Okay.
And then when it wasn't even a thing, the whole concept of list tagging, my partner Jesus, he started figuring out, hey, instead of just removing duplicates, let's just stack them. And then that worked out for us really well because we end up getting deals where with little to no competition when nobody else was doing. But just like any industry, what got you here won't get you there.
That's right.
So there's iterations to it. So
Absolutely.
think about the data side of things, like what properties you're going to target. Now there's, in a way, a version 3.0 of it that you have to be doing. You have to be pairing it with whatever predictive component the data has, plus your own buy box.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It totally does.
So that way you figured out what are the properties that are more likely to sell at a discount to you.
So when you talk just about the stacking part, just for people who don't know that much about it, if you get a duplicate, what are you stacking it against?
So we, in a way, what we do is that we consider them data points. So in every single market, there's always going to be a universe of properties. Let's say 1 million properties. Then always there's going to be outliers, properties that are like too small, too big, that you don't want to be targeting. But from the remaining properties, what you want to be knowing, it's through a ranking system, who moves up, down, or out of that ranking based on objective data points. Let's say pre-foreclosure, tax deed, all of that. So when those life events, because you're not looking at life events, you're not looking at new properties, you're looking at new life events of the owners of these properties. Yeah. These properties will move up, down, or out of the ranking. That's what you're actually doing.
Yeah. And so I do a lot of list stacking because I do a lot of marketing. Now, not everyone's in my shoes. They don't have a spend that I have, and I understand that. But let's maybe even talk to the people that don't have a big marketing spend. They don't necessarily have this $50,000 a month marketing spend. How could they start to use 80/20 REI, regardless of what they are doing, right? Let's talk to that person who's like, hey, I got a couple bucks and I need to be able to be more efficient, right? So you brought up the point. It comes down to lead flow and then efficiency. Are you actually converting the lead that you brought in?
Yeah.
So let's talk to the person about like, hey, if you're trying to bring in leads, what's the use case for 80/20 REI?
So full disclosure, our product, it's on the premium side.
Sure.
So it's designed for the professional real estate investor who's already looking at, market domination.
Good.
Players, in your case, people doing with marketing budgets of, $20K plus and then doing 100 plus deals a year. Because what we're seeing is that at that point when you're playing at that level, at the level you're playing, Justin, you're no longer running a real estate business. You're running a sales and marketing business, and real estate becomes like the widget you're trading.
Yeah. For
smaller players, we what we recommend is to there's resources out there. I would highly recommend somebody that it's starting in their journey and they want to get more efficient with that to hire a coach.
Yeah.
And also there's other data sources that they could get in their backyard so they can start getting those quick wins before they move up and they have a solid budget to do.
Well, you talked about iterating, which I think is a great point. I tell everyone that people who are going to make it over the next 24 months are going to have to iterate and adapt to what's going on in our world, right?
Absolutely.
And if you don't iterate, you essentially die, right? At some point, your strategy isn't going to work. You guys as a company are iterating. We were just talking offline. You have other components now that you're bringing to light for a lot of the audiences. Let's talk about like the iteration you guys are going through as a company, 80/20 REI, that offers other value sets to investors, not just the standard, deliverable from 80/20.
100%. So up until I would say 2021, at the end of 2021, we used to do the done for you model where we would provide the data and then also do the outbound outreach. Like we even at some point had a cold call center of like about 150 people. And then of course we narrow it down to what was our gold medal talent, which is providing the best data that can, answer the three main questions. Is like, how do I generate more leads that B, I can convert more, and then C, lower my cost per acquisition. And we narrow it down to be the absolute best data provider, which we generally believe we are in our space.
Yep.
And what that led is to we're starting to see a need in the marketplace bolt-on services. We're both part of a boardroom.
Yep.
And actually, I have my.
I see it now. So yeah.
So one thing that Ken talks about it there, he talks about the bolt-on services, the importance of having that. And for us, we got crystal clear that what are we really good at, like get a gold medal in? It's data.
Yeah.
But our clients have a need, and of course, your audience, for example, they even if they're not at a level where they can get a premium data solution yet, there's a need in the marketplace. So therefore, what we did, we invested in partnerships. And we build businesses with people that we know, like, trust, and they know that they're A players. So one of those partnerships is Done For You, direct mail service, DM Force. We also invested in a Salesforce-based CRM, 80/20 CRM, which is it's like the Ferrari of REI CRMs. I mean, I get so excited, and again, shameless plug, but it's the only CRM that uses like native tools.
Yeah.
And the one partnership that we've invest and it goes, regardless of whether you're starting in your journey or you're a professional real estate investor, it's our talent acquisition agency called 80/20 Recruit.
Okay.
That specializes in sourcing and pre-vetting talent from Latin America.
Yeah.
Because what happened is that when we shut down the Done For You line of service of the VA, so-called, in the last 2-3 years, my partner and I, we probably get 10 to 20 emails a week.
Wanting it back.
It's like, hey, you know what? Texting, cold calling, we miss the good old days. We want you guys back. And I'm like, no, man, this fucking headache. I don't want to do it. So, But we have all the systems in place where we would find that talent in Latin America so a client can manage that relationship without a markup, without all the gray area of like, I'm paying $10 an hour for somebody that I should be paying $6 an hour. That's gone. Transparency.
Well, that's great. So, I mean, I think the challenge we have as operators who have deal flow is the growth versus scale, right? And so, Ken's big on scale. I'm big on growth, right? I want to take someone from 0 or 1 to 10. Then we can talk about scale. But the challenge is people are needed throughout the real estate chain. And people don't know who to hire, where to hire, what roles to hire. So this really solves a big issue for those people who are growing and getting into the point of scale. Because of what I just said, like, I'm not a firm believer in treating acquisition people as an outsourced thing. I would want that in-house. But if you can have, like, what is the best use case for your Latin America VA, so to speak? Is it more like lead nurture or development, and then it goes over to acquisition, or what's the best use case you're seeing?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that probably the last seat that you will delegate on a real estate operation is the acquisition seat, because you want to have, depending on your business model, it's
how you make money, right?
Yeah. If you're 100% virtual, that you could do it a little bit easier, but still, it's one thing that we're, and it's a very good book. It's a resource called from Dan Martell. It's called Buy Back Your Time.
He was just with my community last week.
Nice. And one of the things he talks about is to create the environment. You got to create the environment. So let's say you're a solopreneur or somebody that it's actually running a good wholesale business. You're typically like the owner operator is very good at sales, a maverick. It's like somebody that like will thrive on that environment.
Yep.
But you don't want to be doing the fucking minutia of like TC
100%
or all of that.
You're talking to me. You put me in a sales role, I'm in, right? You put me on the phone, I'm in. You want me to go do the TC work? You want me to fill out a KPI sheet? You want me to do a spreadsheet of... I'm out. Like, I don't need it.
You're going to be mentally checked out. But what if you have just a handful of key players that protect your time? an executive assistant that will be like your gatekeeper. Then somebody that it's 1, 2, 3 people, depending on your marketing budget, doing the cold calls and the outreach. A high-level lead qualifier. Then all you're doing is spending your day and your highest and best use of your time, which is selling.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's such a need. So I love that you guys are... Now, is this something you can get today? So if they go to 8020rei.com...
Yeah, there's going to be a tab, and they can even go directly to 8020recruit.com, and they will book a discovery call with one of the guys, with Frankie and Manny that are running it. They're amazing.
So right now, if you're in need or looking for some VAs, I'm telling you, 8020recruit right now. Go to 8020recruit.com.
Yeah.
I promise this is going to be a game changer. 8020recruit.com. But as a whole, what is 8020 REI now comprised of? If there's someone watching this or listening to this and they say, I have these needs, what buckets can you fill for that operator who, whether it's people, whether it's leads, whether it's nurture, whether it's follow-up, what buckets do you guys all have now as the whole entity of 8020 REI?
So through having good data and strategies to go about direct to seller, especially for cold calling, texting, and direct mail, where we help, it's on the lead gen side.
Okay.
So pretty much anybody that it's a professional investor doing on the low end 20 to 40 deals a year, who has a marketing spend or budget on the low end 15 to 20K a month. So it's consistent on the marketing side, and they're struggling with a low lead generation or inconsistent lead flow.
Sure.
Then we can help.
I think that's everybody. Anyone listening to this, probably you, is the reality, right? I mean, even myself, I will make the point where there are months where lead flow is great, and then there's months where it's not. There's months where I'm saying, hey, you need to execute. The lead flow is not great for one reason or another. You need to execute better. You need to get deeper in the relationship. So I think everyone ultimately should be reaching out and just figuring out, where does your service fit in their business, right?
Yeah. And if not, we'll be happy to direct them to a resource, whether it's in our network or not. It's just we believe, and again, we're fanatical about the 80-20 principle.
Sure,
and
called 80-20 REI.
And figuring out, how can we do more with less? You know, like, how can, because we've been there.
Yeah.
We've been there. Like, if you're a small player and you don't know where to start, probably I will start by getting the right data.
Yeah. So what are you saying? You're on the front lines of our space of real estate investing. I mean, you're seeing a lot, right? The leads, the lead generation, lead nurture, lead follow. I think right now we're in a very pivotal time within the economy, the real estate, the interest, the presidential election. What are you guys seeing being on the front line with 150 clients that are bringing in leads, nurturing leads, contract? Like, what are you seeing right now? Is it challenging? Is it hard? Are the sellers not, like, give me kind of an insight on what you're seeing.
So the general sentiment, and of course, this is an industry that it's, if I can define our industry in one word, is resiliency. It's like, I think that the way that we can adapt to market shifts it's probably second to none.
Yeah.
Way better than other, financial services or whatever. I mean, what do you see on the news today? Like, I think in crypto they call it FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Mm-hmm. So you see like 40% less transactions. That there's, like the Fed may not cut the rates. There's going to be high inflation and high unemployment. Things are out of control. But guess what? Like, people still need a place to live, mm-hmm. or they need to sell a place. So the players in our industry are going to be able to adapt to thrive.
What are they doing different? What do you see the players, your clients, you have 150 of them.
Yeah.
What do you see them do differently than everyone else out there that you see?
It's just consistent. It's consistency. They understand that we may be switching from a seller's to a buyer's market. So they constantly are, like you said, you're big into growth versus scaling. There's a time to scale. There's a time to grow. They're growing through, for example, mastering other exit strategies. So with the same marketing budget, let's say when before they would do a wholesale every day of the week. Now it's doing novation, doing net listings. There's things.
They're adapting and innovating. And that's what the professionals, that's what your clients, the people who are winning still, because let's face it, there's a lot of people right now in our space, they're going out of business. Yeah. They're not making it. And it's because they're not adapting and innovating. They're not doing exit strategies, right? Like everyone wants to be a wholesaler. Wholesale. I get the appeal because you don't need money, right? You're assigning the contract. You can fix and flip and you can buy rentals with no money.
That's right.
That's the thing they just don't know. Novating is great, right? Net listings, seller financing. There's just options that you can move the needle that the professionals who understand can do that. Now, do you guys help your clients with diversification of the exit strategy, or do you leave that up to your clients? Do you say, go get a coach, let them teach you how to do that?
That's a great question. So while we're not coaches for that, through the data that they get with us, they can remove the emotion out of the decision of their exit strategy.
That's a good point.
So, for example, let's say in a market where it might be worth going a little bit over, offer a little bit more and going into creative strategies, they can get that, but not just shooting from the hip. It's a data-driven decision. That's what we help them make. And just, of course, in this industry, when, like you said, the smaller players are starting to get weeded out because the barrier of entry was too low. The bigger players are going to not only survive, but they're going to get bigger.
That's right.
Granted, there's regulations coming, and we're all gonna have to adapt to those. But the most important part of the adaptation and the data-driven decision is that no matter what the market cycle is, they're still gonna be able to monetize on the lead.
I tell a lot of my coaching students, obviously I have a coaching program, it some level it turns into a math equation.
Yeah.
You don't even need to go beyond like the math of it all. If you bring in 100 leads, you should convert 3 deals. That's 1 out of 30. Out of those 30 deals, you should be able to net 20 grand per wholesale, 60 grand for a flip. So then you can just sit there and math. If you can't because the market is changing, novate it. You see that the listings are down. There's not many things listed. There's not much activity on the MLS. Put something on the MLS because, to your point, it's a math equation. If you see that listings are down 30% in this market, whatever market we're talking about, then novate it. Get it on the MLS because no one has an option to buy anything. There's nothing on the MLS. Yeah. It takes the emotion out of it when you actually include math. Math is not my strong suit, but it's a math equation, right? You just say, okay, in some markets, listing, there's still not a lot of available, houses. Well, then make it available, right? Don't make it just a wholesale deal. Novate the damn thing. And by the data. You can see by the data what's going to be the right decision. And so I think, that's really powerful for 80/20 to kind of say, guys, looking at your numbers, it looks like these are the better decisions or this is what the problem is. The other part I think that you guys do a really good job at is by highlighting the numbers, you can see where the inefficiencies are.
Yeah, 100%.
We as business owners, and I even will at times have to look at myself in the mirror on this, like where's the bottleneck? Where are we not being efficient? Where does it break down? Like, sure, we made a lot of money, but could we even have made more? Or maybe we didn't make a lot of money. Why? Where is the ball getting dropped? Where's the hole sinking? Or where's the hole in the ship where it's sinking? Talk a little bit about like that, about understanding just from the data that you guys have from 80/20, how you can create efficiencies for your clients.
So, okay, that's a very good question because one of the things or pillars that we always talk about is that on one hand you have the predictive side of things, the predictive component, and our algorithm we believe is superior to our competition, but that's just one pillar. The other one, which is super important, it's your buy box. It's like what does it make sense for you to buy meaning where's your 80-20? What's that 20% of zip codes that are going to give you 80% plus of the revenue? And we've done something pretty cool with some of our clients, like that are high volume clients, where we do a market analysis report, which pretty much shows how they're performing against their market, against the entire competition, includes institutional players, direct competitors, all of that. And what we're finding, and I'm going to use the example here in Miami, we did that analysis with our own wholesale operation, and there was 2 particular zip codes, 33125, 6,900 parcels, created $260K in revenue.
You remember all this?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have to.
But by the way, that speaks volumes of who you are and how the company is run. Like, if you can remember a data search with one of your clients, this specifically, that speaks volumes for you, Felipe, and Jesus, and the company. So I really appreciate that, and hopefully the listener can appreciate that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got our clients back. I mean, like, this is, like, again, data-driven decisions.
Yeah.
They're removing all the emotion out of it. So going back to that, there's this other zip code that has about 20,000 properties. We generated the same $260K in revenue, but I go like, fuck, like I'm having to send 3 times more marketing to that zip code to make the same amount of money. Why don't I double down and into 33125? And yeah, we picked up 3 deals in 3 months.
That's right.
But that was a data-driven decision. I think you live in Pinecrest.
Correct. So
it's a higher end neighborhood. We took a look, and our competition was kicking our ass
in that neighborhood.
Like 33173 or 74. I don't want to butcher it. And I'm like, okay, so why is that happening? Well, they're doing higher end flips, and like historically, we just completely neglected that zip code.
Sure.
So that's the kind of decisions that you can make once you have the data, and then you just pair it with whatever data points that you get updated monthly with us, and you get to decide, what you're doing historically, like where your deals are happening, tell you where you perform better. What your competition is doing tells you where the opportunity is.
You're saying so many great things. I want everyone to watch this over and over again, and listen to this over and over again, because what Felipe is talking about is so important. One of the things you just talked about, like, let's just take 2 zip codes, and you're spending the same amount of money in both zip codes. One, you get a 4x return. One, you get a 2x return. But even at 2x, let's just say it's a big number. Let's say it's $100,000, right? You spend 50 to make 100. So you see the $100,000, you're like, well, I don't want to give that up. I know it's only $50,000 profit, but it's profit. But the data itself will say you could spend the same 50 and you're going to make $250,000 in this other zip code. People are so fearful to drop the zip code that only 2x and double into the zip code that 5x. Why do you think that is? I see it all the time with my own students. They get like, well, yeah, but this one still made money. Yeah, but
it's a little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out, and fear of the unknown as well. That's why we try. I mean, as humans, we're emotional creatures, so we try to remove as much as we can of the emotion out of the decision and let the numbers talk.
Yeah,
and I would say that
this goes for every business. You know that, right? Like, you guys could take what you guys do and put it into any vertical: roofing, siding, gutters, HVAC, flooring. You have an industry that focuses on marketing and sales. You guys should be, if you're not already thinking this, maybe you're smirking because you're like, Justin, you know too much. You guys should be
you
going.
have a crystal ball, baby.
I do.
That's why.
It's right here, dog. It's right here. I'll just tell you, this, what you guys have comprised and what you guys do with the data, it's every single business. If someone's not even in our space of investing, they need to think, move, act, and treat their business from the data, not the emotion of, I think it's a good idea, or I'm scared to let go of this one zip code. No, dude, you 5x'd in this zip code. Let go of this zip code, go to this zip code. And then,
exactly.
And I don't want to speak for you, but as someone who helps people grow their business, I see too often people hold on to the zip code that they only 2x'd in, but they have 3 people in an operational cost just to hold this zip code down, where you could let go of those 3 people. I'm not trying to hurt their family. I'm just saying, like, you don't need those people. Your operational cost goes down, And you don't need to make much more than that 250 grand from that one zip code. You don't need more to make more. That's the point people don't understand.
I mean,
more's not always better.
To your point, it's just using that example. If you're keeping those 3 people in your business, you're also doing them a disservice.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, you're struggling. Your business is struggling. They're struggling to keep their rent paid and whatever else. And the reality is, people think bigger is better. They may take a look at me after 17 years or name the person, right? Pace or Jamil, it doesn't matter. And think bigger means better. But you don't understand that, like, specifically, Jamil and I have done this almost 20 years. We have a runway that most people watching this and listening to do not, specific to wholesaling, flipping, and buying rentals, right?
Yeah.
And so I make the point to everybody, you need to have a service like 80/20 REI because your efficiencies are off. Bigger isn't better. Make more money with what you already bring in the door, and you don't have to grow. You talk about Dan Martell. You literally came in last week and spent an hour with, I should have told you guys to come. He was signing books for my whole community. It was great. He's an incredible human being. So big shout out Dan Martell. But I say that to you guys to say, like, I would encourage your clients to stay small, not to not market more, but you don't need to waste money and go big if you can see the data that you guys are delivering to them, saying, if you just pour a little bit more into this one little section, your return goes
exponentially higher. I mean, again, you have a track record, been in the industry for 20 years, and you're one of the people that we look up to. That's why we connected, and now it's kind of...
Well, now you're in my world, right? We got Boardroom, we have the podcast. We'll be doing a lot more together.
That's right. That's right. And I would say to the audience, especially for the ones that are, for example, they're not there yet to leverage the service we offer, because it's more on the premium side, on the data side of things, is to, one, hire a coach, but be very intentional about the coach that you hire. So for me, as a rule of thumb, every time I'm going to hire a coach, is you should only be working with the people that is experiencing the level of success that you're experiencing by the time you want to get there. So let's say somebody wants to get to your level of operation, 100K marketing and solid operation, super good lifestyle business, podcast. You see, like, living the dream in 3, 6, 9 years. Okay, just fucking reach out and hire that person. Don't hire the guy that it's making a living coaching and teaching stuff that worked back in the 90s, and not even in the 90s. Like, what worked 2 years ago? Those strategies,
since COVID,
cut it.
From 2020 to 2022, those strategies no longer work today.
Nope. You gotta be always stay current. And then the second thing is like you said, like, scale to get better, not to get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think in the book, what's his name? Scaling Up says, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is king.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to have a lean operation and have a solid marketing machine and have a few key hires that it can be virtual. Let's say somebody in Latin America with our agency or not, somebody in-house, but not just have people on payroll for the sake of it.
And that is a big thing in our world, right? Everyone wants the flex. Everyone wants to be like, oh, look at my office and I have whatever. There is a handful of people, like a handful, that can actually run a real operation with a volume of employees that actually nets a good bottom line. There's not many.
No.
And I learned this the hard way, right? That there was days where I decided to go for the vanity play, and metrics were really high, and revenue was really high, and staff was really high, and I could show it off and it looked great on Instagram. But I paid myself 90 grand that year. Multiple millions in the door. Looked really cool on social media. I made 90 grand. Personally.
At least you made something, so that's a win. But
I can tell you that is, the world now would rather the vanity metric than actually making real amount of money. And I go the other way and I say, guys, I want you to get fucking rich. Who cares what happens on the Instagram? Because if you're rich, then you're doing really cool things, and that looks way cooler, right? But if you're not rich and you're fighting every day in the trenches because you want to keep this vanity metrics of how many people you have in the office and having an office in an A+ commercial building and all these operational costs, that's actually just not cool. And by the way, it took me going through that to realize it. I had to get through that phase to realize this is not cool. If I'm going to make $2 million, north of $2 million, and I paid myself 90 grand, that is not fucking cool. You're not in business to make 90 grand when revenue is at 2 million. It's insane.
Absolutely. 100%. And probably fast forward right now, your bottom line, it's way higher.
39% bottom line margin at this
with a lot less headache.
Right. I already lost all my hair. So that part, 100%. My team is small, but it's tight, right? Like I have executives who kind of oversee everything from construction to general management to TC to agents and property management. I have the right people in place, but my bottom line stays tight. I don't have 8 people filling a role that one person can fill.
Amen. That's how it should be.
Guys, Felipe, first of all, this has been great. Is there a very specific place you want everyone to go? First of all, everyone needs to check out 80/20 REI, but I know there's, 80/20 recruiting. Is there, where do we want people to kind of find you guys right now?
You can go into 8020rei.com and it will have a tab for our, like our sister companies as well, DM Force, 80/20 CRM, and 80/20 Recruit. And if you go there, you're going to book a call, a discovery call, 20 minutes. And I'm running all our discovery calls because I love it. I love connecting with investors. It doesn't matter if you're starting in your journey or if you're, where you have 20 years of experience. I personally handle all of the calls and just see how we can be a resource.
Yeah.
Whether we work or not together.
8020rei.com. Felipe is here. Jesus is right over here. He's scared of the camera. But guys, this has been an incredible episode. I know I'm going to see you in Boston. Boardroom is an incredible mastermind. You guys are incredible. I vouch 100%. 80/20 REI. Make sure you go there. Talk to Felipe. Anyone who's willing to be the business owner but also stay connected to the clients, really powerful. So that goes really far. Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, man.
If this was helpful at all, please share this with at least 2 of your friends. I would greatly appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode with another incredible guest. Peace.